Hi and welcome to Fantasy Footy Fan, Jeff here. So we had some pretty big scores this week. We had a fair few premiums really fire up this week. As you can see with my score, I was obviously pretty wrapped with my team this week. I got a 25-39, which was ranked 540 for the round. And that really boosted my overall rank. I went up 4,272 spots and I've got my overall rank now at 4,081. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm positioned. I can really make a go of it from here, try to get up to that top 1,000 rank and higher, hopefully over the next few weeks. Just need to continue with my upgrade cadence, the upgrade, downgrade every week. Obviously, I'm now starting to feel the pinch a bit with my rookies. But I just wanted to quickly mention, I got a 25-39 thinking that score, being ranked 540, would have been enough to win my league. I was playing against a mate of mine. He got a 26-09. He was ranked like 16th or something like that for the week. And that was just pretty unlucky. I've got like the second highest points in my league and I'm second last or something like that. So sometimes it happens that way, but you know, don't mind. League's a lot of fun, but of course I'm playing for the overall rank. And when we have a look at my team, this is sort of how I performed. I'll obviously, I haven't changed anything to my team yet, and I'm going to discuss, obviously you can notice there, I know about McCurch is out, and if there's a few things to go through, I'll try and get through them as quick as possible. Excuse me. But just very quickly, wanted to go through how my team went this week. Obviously, the scores you're all familiar with. Ryan with a 111 just went nuts in that last quarter. Dacos against West Coast, expect nothing less. Sheasel still got the midfield forward role. And that's a bit disappointing. But with McCurcher out this week, maybe Sheasel goes back into the halfback spot. We'll have to wait and see. I know some were just thinking of maybe trading Sheasel out. And certainly that is an option. I'm really hoping that Sheasel fills McCurcher's role. But, you know, we'll see how what happens this weekend. Wangani Malira, a 113, finally getting some good scores out of him after bringing him in with two very low scores. McCurcher with the role, still another 91. Really happy with that. But obviously he's out with I think bone stress in his foot. He's supposed to be out just for 1 week, but you never know. I'm going to have to make my trade anyway because Graham's not playing and Hall's out for another 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm going to have to trade McCurcher now anyway. So I'll go through my trades a little bit later. And then Closey, that was obviously a great score from him, getting 105. That was obviously unexpected, but playing against North, I was expecting a decent score, but a 105 I wasn't, and that obviously contributed to my final score. Moving on to the midfield, and really happy with Sarong, a 150, Bont a 135. I had VC'd Bont and I had the C on Dacos. So with Bond with a 135, you just have to take it because you just don't know what's going to happen. Dacos may get injured and he gets a low score. You got to take a 135, and that's what I ended up doing. And then Dawson had an awesome final quarter as well. Nearly won the game off his own boot and got a great score. Miller against North, a 122. LDU, a 109. Hopefully he can still get at least some of these sort of decent kind of scores, which will help. But I'm not, like I said, he's sort of my last priority. I really need to get the rookies off the field first before I get to LDU. But Tom Green, a 116. We're going to talk about him because he's a definite trade target now if you don't have him. But we were all very lucky ones that own him, that he played, not only played, but got a 116. Oliver really, look, he was okay. We're going to talk about Oliver in a moment, but I had traded Roberts to Oliver. Now, Roberts didn't have a great score, so I'll take Oliver's 87. because it was a lot better than what Roberts would have gotten. Wilson just continues his last 3 weeks, he has been fantastic. And this is where I'm actually quite ecstatic, because I got a 25-39 or whatever it was, and that was with Rosie on the bench, and I had Jones on the ground, who gave me a 38, and I still got that score. So I'm actually pretty wrapped, and it sort of gives me confidence that I can really see my team getting better from here. And then Rogers with a 64, and again, happy with that, but I know he's been managed this week. And then Clark a 36, and yeah, he's just the slow burn, but I'm not going to worry about him for now. Gorner 111 managed to get that score, fortunately, as well. And then Marshall with a big 164, and just so wrapped with that because I brought him on. He had 2 bad games. Then he had a decent game, and then everyone's thinking about trading him out for sweets, and some may have done that. But I'd always looked at it like that, Marshall may have had a couple of bad games, but he is going to be a ruck premium by the end of the year, and I don't like to sideways trade. So I stuck with Marshall, hoping he would come good, and he has, and just really wrapped with his score. Heaney 118, it's nice to see him get so many CBAs in the midfield. Then Flanders a 108. Jackson... So Jackson an 89, which I'm expecting more from Jackson. When he's rucking solo, I'm wanting hundreds, but I'll take an 89. He's, I guess, in the LDU boat. I'm not going to bother with him from now. He'll come in handy during the buys, so I'm just going to hold him through the buys, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do with him after that. Again, another unexpected score, Darcy, and that really sort of gets his cash generation going again. So I had to, play a risk or gamble here. I could have taken Garcia or Rogers' score. I was tossing up between the 3 of them. Who should I have on ground? And Rogers I just wasn't comfortable with. But again, I didn't think. They're playing against North Melbourne. Really should have thought that Rogers would have done well. And then Garcia I wasn't confident in. And Jones had the form. And I thought I'll put Jones on. And, obviously that cost me another 30 or so points. Which would have been nice to have had that extra 30 points, but obviously I'm going to take the score I got. Reed only a 59, and so now he becomes a trade out option with such a high break even. But we'll go through all the trade options in a moment. So if we have a look at my trades, now here we go, history. So yeah, they've changed all this. They've changed the format around a little bit, as you know, with SuperCoach. Still trying to work it out. So with my trades, I ended up deciding to trade out Yo. I just had to. I was thinking about it because I thought Graham was going to play, and I thought, maybe I should keep him because he'll only be out for a week. But then Graham didn't play, and so I had no choice. I had to trade Yo out, and so I thought, I will trade him to Ryan because Ryan is the number one defender in the comp, and it was only like 40k or so to get to him. I thought that's just a no-brainer. And then I wanted to get Oliver in, so I ended up upgrading Roberts to Oliver. It was only an extra 60k roughly, but then I needed cash as well to make those trades, and I wanted to get in Jones as well. Because he was on the bubble, and Carroll, I don't think he's going to be coming back again, and if he does, who knows when. He's not going to make much cash. I did make money off him, but not much, and I thought I'll just trade him, get Carroll, get a player on the bubble in to generate some cash, and hopefully Jones plays again this week and keeps earning cash. So they were my 3 trades. So I used the boost, and I still have. One boost left, and my plan is to use that boost this week, and so I'll have no boosts left, and we're heading into the buys, and we're going to have the 3 trades there anyway. I know some like to have boost through the buy so they can do 4 trades, but I'm hoping that the 3 trades will be enough. No boosts left. I want to hit the season hard, get to full premium as quick as I can. And that's sort of my plan. So they're the changes I made. Happy with the score, happy with the trades because they all did well and they all did better than the players I traded out. And then of course I'm happy with my VC. I got the 135 from Bomb. So just having a really quick look at any relevant injuries. We had the injury report come out yesterday. I guess we were thinking or we were hoping that Dan Curtin would have a couple of good games, but he hasn't. And he's on the bubble at 175. He's got a break even of 48. He may get that, he may not. Excuse me, but with the Josh Worrell out for 8 to 12 weeks, there's a high chance that Daniel Curtin will play, but we're definitely not going to be bringing him in, even if he is on the bubble. Anyway, we'll see how Curtin goes with his job security, if he's worth bringing in. Maybe he gets a few games, then he becomes worth bringing in. And then looking through some of the other injuries, I don't know if anyone still has Zach Williams. I know most of us probably would have traded him out by now. But look, he's still in 19% of teams. I believe he's coming in this week anyway. He's still got a fitness test to get through, but he may come back. So that may be handy to have him. Break even of 47. So he might still have a little bit of cash to make. So it's going to be interesting with Collingwood. So they've got a fair few injuries, as we know. So DeGoey and Mitchell should come back this week from injury. Now, how does that impact Sullivan? Sullivan's on the bubble, but yeah, his job might be at risk. We know that Jamie Elliott, or job security, be at risk. Jamie Elliott, we know he may be out for something like 4 or 5 weeks possibly. So that is as good fortune for Joe Richards. He had a great first game, kind of playing a bit of that Elliott role. And he may be one to bring in instead of Sullivan. I think there's maybe more job security with Richards and Sullivan, in my opinion, especially with Elliott out of the team. So a couple of interesting things to look at with Collingwood. So for those of you who have kept Zach Reid, now he had a pretty decent game, played a full game in the VFL. So there's still 25% that own him. So of course you're all hoping that he comes in and plays this week. There's every chance that he actually may get named. But we'll wait and see. They might give him one more week. So Sean Darcy is still a test, but they're pretty confident that he'll come back in. So for those who own Jackson, I think, I guess for me, I'm holding Jackson either way because I'm just going to hold him through the buys. And then after the buys, or at least, after Gawn and Marshall have had their buys, I'll definitely be looking at trading him out and getting a forward premium if we have any others. At the moment, probably Zorko and maybe even Rankin, I think maybe might be considered forward premiums, but I can't see anyone else. It's pretty much just Heaney and Flanders. So that was a Fremantle. And then I guess for Gold Coast, there's not really injuries as such, but the Will Graham omission is not great. When we have a look at the teams for this week, they've already been announced in the Suns and Geelong. And there was a few interesting ones of who was out and in. As I mentioned, Jake Rogers, for those of us that have him, he's managed, but that means, there's a high chance he comes in next week. But no necessarily any relevant injuries as such with Gold Coast. So with the Giants, Josh Kelly is a big injury. Now, how does that impact the rest of the team? They need a midfielder to come in there, and then Lockie Ash is out as well. So I reckon they might bring in a Jacob Weir back in for Lockie Ash. But for Josh Kelly, that'll be interesting to see. I guess Peatling will probably come back in and fill Josh Kelly's role. So that could be an interesting option. And then with Hawthorn, so Sicily is showing as a test, but it's highly likely he will play. Anyway, I don't think there's many that would own him. Now, I own Marty Hoare, and I found out that he's out for another 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm not going to do anything with him unless there's an awesome rookie defender on the bubble, and then I might bring someone like that in. But for now, I'm just going to focus on the other areas of my team. I'll get to Hoare later. But yeah, unfortunately, though, I was really hoping he was going to come back and play. He was the emergency for a few games there, and yeah, unfortunately now he's injured. Of course, the other really big injury news is Colby McKercher. So as I mentioned, the bone stress in the foot. He's just having an awesome last few games. If we have a look at his sort of last few, he's a 102, a 135, and a 91, and he's gone up like 100 and what's that? 127k, yeah, something like that. So just in the last 2 weeks, so that's fantastic. Like, I mean, I guess for me, I look at my situation, I held on to McKercher. There's a few that did trade him out. I held on to him, and yes, he did initially lose that 30k against Hawthorn, and then the 1k against Adelaide, but then really made up for it recently, and now he's 379, and he's actually at a pretty decent price where I could upgrade him to someone. So yeah, pretty happy and sad with that. Got the money, but he's out for 1 week. Could be more. We don't know. But as you can see with my team, I have to trade him anyway. I mean, I could trade Graham, but for the trades that I'm going to make this week, I need the cash, and I'm going to have to trade McKercher. So I'm hoping that Connor Rozee comes back this week. He's a test, so he'll be tested later in the week, and hopefully he gets up to come back into the team. Because yeah, it'd be nice to have that full premium midfield that I've got. And then so Jordan Sweet, there wasn't really any mention of him in the injury report, so I would imagine that he's good to go for this week. So he'll likely come in. Now, Vicentini actually played quite well, so do they play both? Or does just Sweet come in for Vicentini? I guess we'll have to wait and see, but hopefully Sweet comes back in. I guess with Richmond, there's not a lot of interest there. Seth Campbell out for 1 to 2 weeks, just for those that have him as a rookie. I think definitely time to go now, especially because he's out for 1 to 2 weeks. And then with... nothing really with St Kilda or really Sydney. I might be forgetting 1 or 2 players here. And then with West Coast, so we've got Elliot Yeo, and he should be back this week. He actually trained quite well, so there's every chance he'll come in this week, but at worst he'll be coming in next week, just for those who held him. And when he comes back, and if he continues to play well, he still becomes an option. Like, we probably have to bring him in. If you have a look at, if we're wanting to have the best primos on our field, then if we have a look at our defenders, and just have a look at the top defenders, like Elliot Yeo sits at number 4. He's averaging 113. We got Ryan, Dacos, Sheasel, Yeo, Houston, and Martin. They are our top 6 defenders to have in our team. And then, of course, just under that is, McGovern and probably just McGovern. Then you get to Vlosten and McGrath. They're a little bit on the low 100s. But, I think this week for me, I'll talk about trades later, but I'll be looking at bringing in, if not Yeo, likely Nick Martin. For me, that'll be a tough trade because I traded him out 100k less, and now I'm having to pay that extra 100k to get him in. So that was a loss. I did trade him for Caleb Sarong, so that's been good. So the Sarong trade-in has been great. But yeah, paying the extra 100k for Martin kind of does suck. But I have to get him in because he is a top 6 defender. And then for the doggies, again, Sanders, another awesome game, something like 42 possessions. Is he going to come back into the team? Libber is out indefinitely. I guess Richards is taking over there. And I guess if you've held on to Sanders, you'd be hoping that he actually comes in this week. But Bevo, as usual, is doing Bevo things. Just wanted to quickly go through really only the really relevant SuperCoach plays that we could trade in, trade out, and just pretty much players that are owned by a lot of us. And so just quickly looking through some of the matches over the weekend. So Sam Walsh, a 143, he now becomes a must-have, yes, not necessarily this week, but if you're looking at the best mids to go for, he sits at number 4, averaging 122. So he is absolutely primo. He's at 586. So for someone averaging 122 to be at 586 becomes absolute value. So yes, I think if you've got spots in your midfield and you're going to upgrade, he is an absolute trade target for sure at that price. His break even is 124. So look, I think you could bring him in this week, and look, you could definitely bring him in next week as well. But then I think his price will get back up again. But really looking through the rest of this team, there's nothing of any interest to me as far as SuperCoach relevance. For Melbourne, so Petrarca's the interesting one. There he had a monster game. Hopefully he gets forward status. That would be awesome, but he might go spending more time in the midfield, but we don't know. But yeah, he went up 3K. So he's bottomed out now, break even of 88. He's lost 112k and he's now 555k. So he, and if you feel Oliver is going to continue to get better, then they become prime targets. But yeah, Christian Petrarca this week is an absolute prime target. Walsh and Petrarca definitely. So Max Gawn, yeah, he got a 111, and I think he's got West Coast. I might as well share this stat now. It's a stat that for our captains, Fantasy Freako provided, and he mentions there that the Tigers concede the most points to midfielders. We kind of already knew that, I guess. The Eagles give up the most points to rucks. So of all the teams, the Eagles give up the most points to rucks. So that is gone this week. And then the Saints give up the most points to defenders, and that's Luke Ryan. So I guess I'm going early with my VC and C. So I'm going Luke Ryan as my vice captain into Max Gawn. I'm going to try to somehow find a way to loophole that. I'm pretty sure I can. I haven't looked at it really deeply, but yeah, so they're very relevant stats. And if we have a look at the games this week, as I mentioned, you've got Richmond is playing Brisbane. So if you've got a Lockie Neal, for example, and that game's at home, then you'd expect Lockie Neal or Dunkley to have like really, really big games. You'd be wanting to put the VC or C on them. Yep, you'd expect Merritt to do well against North, and you'd expect Butters to do well against Hawthorn. But I think I'll be going Luke Ryan to Max Gawn, I think. I guess another option would be Dacos as a VC against Adelaide. That's at the G. So that's an option as well. But yeah, with your captain, vice captain, I reckon those are the players you're looking at to put your captain, vice captain. As I said, I'm going Ryan into Gawn. But getting back to the games, so looking at Melbourne, so Clayton Oliver got an 87. Like I said, not bad. I guess an 87. It was better than Robert's score. Look, Oliver still looks not like the player that he's still not that player from last year. Some are saying, yeah, he looks great and this and that. I watched this game and I was watching him really closely. And, you know, it does say that he had 8 tackles in this game, which is great. You know, you want him to get high tackles. I don't know. I didn't feel like that tackle pressure from him was there the way it was last year, even though he got 8 tackles. I also found that he was just kind of hanging around the ball. Like last year, you'd see, Oliver like go in hard, get the ball out, get a tackle in there. I just see him hovering around the ball, waiting to get the ball out. It's a little bit different to the way he was playing last year. And then the spread as well. Like that's the other thing. I remember from last year, on the spread, he ran really hard, but now you just kind of see him jogging. I don't know. I did bring him in because I think he is going to get better. But I guess what I'm saying is that I just don't think he's there yet, the way that he was playing last year. But I'm hoping to see an improvement this week. They're playing against West Coast. So I'm really hoping that Oliver has a big game this week against West Coast. But time will tell. But I'm still happy to bring him in. I guess he will be my M7, M8, I guess, for now. And then we'll just see how all that plays out. I think for those who kept Caleb Windsor, well done. His break even, I would imagine, is quite low still. A 2, so we're holding on to him if you own him. Wait till he maxes out. And then I think some of you may have Blake Howes. I probably think it's time for him to go. So he went up 13k, break even of 65, and he's averaging 60. So I think if you own him, I think this is the week to trade him out. I mean, he's playing against West Coast, but if you're wanting to do a downgrade upgrade, I think Blake Howes definitely is the player to do that with. He's done his job. He's made 169k, so he's made over that 150k mark. So you got to be pretty happy with that. So moving on to Geelong and Port. There's pretty much, aside from Tom Stewart, not really interested in anyone there, but Tom Stewart copped a bit of a tag from McEntee. That kept him to 84. So just want to see where he's at the moment. So he's averaging 96. It's not ideal. His break even's 97. Now he's dropped 133k. He's down to 501. I think for me, because I don't have Nick Martin is probably a higher target for me. I know I'm spending another sort of 90k to get him over Tom Stewart. But looking at his Tom Stewart season, look, it's not too bad. I mean, he's got 105, a 134, a 108, a 104. So there's 4 tons there in the 9 games he's played. He's at a 62 in there at the Gabba. He got tagged this week. So yeah, look, he's still value. He's a premium. He is a definite premium, but he is, underpriced, obviously. So you could take a risk on him, I guess. I think I mentioned with Oliver Dempsey, it's time for him to go. He got a 65, but I think it's time to upgrade him or downgrade him. So I've got Jai Clark still, and because of that score he had the week before, went up 16k, still a negative 16 break even, a really, really slow burn. So I'm just going to have to ride that out. And then with Port, so I think a few of you may have Ollie Wines, and around the time when there was a few that traded him out, if you've held on to him, well done, only 4% owned now. But his last few games have been fantastic. He's been in ripping form. I guess with Rosie out as well, that's been pretty handy. But yeah, a 110, 116, 157 in his last 3. I wouldn't be bringing him in, but yeah, just a good hold for anyone that kept him. So Zach Butters, a 147. I think he becomes, I just want to see his price, it's 621. He becomes a target as well, because he lost 200k this week. He's down 15k overall. I can't see him getting any lower than this unless there's an injury or something, and he like Tom Green and he gets a 5. But his break even's down to 82. I think if you really want an uber premium like Zach Butters, then yeah, go for it this week. 621. Sometimes you just have to pay up if you really want these uber premiums. I'm not a big fan of paying over 600k for players all the time unless I feel it's worth it. So like last week, I really felt that bringing in Luke Ryan, even though he was 644. I thought he was worth it because it was a sideways trade, but Yo was injured, and I was getting only an extra 40k to get him. So I just thought it was worth it. But more often than not, you don't want to be spending, over 600k too often to bring in a player, unless, it's a player that, let's say, normally is over 700k and you get him down to 615, which is what was the case with Bont. I got Bont, and even English for that matter too. They got down to early 600s, and they're players that are probably worth that because they're normally over 700k. So those who kept Horn Francis are 113. That's pretty good. But looking through that team, not one else I'm really interested in. Freo and Sydney. So I think Caleb Sarong got a 107. I guess he's another one we have to get. We have to get him into our team at some point. He's averaging 131, so he's an uber premium. So if we don't own him, we need to get him in. He went up 29k. He's now 668k. It's going to be tough to get him in now. Break even of 93, and he plays St Kilda this week. So, he's definitely going to get that break even, you would think, and go up even further. So, yeah, it might be tough to get him in. Same with Luke Ryan. So, he went up another 21k this week, up to 666k, and he is another defender we just have to get in. But yeah, you just got to pay full dollars now. So Brayshaw 101. So Jeremy Sharp, well done for those that actually kept him. You're now waiting till he maxes out. It's got a break even of 18. So you're still holding, playing on the ground because he's in really good form. Got a good 98 there. I've already mentioned about Luke Jackson. I think if you own him, you're holding and just playing through the buys. We all were worried about the James Jordan tag. We all thought a lot of us thought it may go to Luke Ryan, but Jordan Clark seemed to be more the like-for-like tag, and that's what happened. Went to Jordan Clark and got a 63. For Clark owners, that's unfortunate, but for Luke Ryan owners, we're pretty happy with that. But Luke Ryan, I was watching this game, and I brought Luke Ryan in, paid top dollar. That's right. I think I said full dollars before. Sorry about that. Top dollar. Luke Ryan. I was watching this game and I was thinking, paid top dollar for him, got him in, and now he's only going to get like a 50 or a 60. Then I'm watching him in that last quarter. He gets a plus 15 in 30 seconds, or something like that. It was like crazy. And then I think because I was watching this game and Sydney's pressure was just awesome. I think it was really strangling the Freo defenders, which is why Ryan didn't actually do that well. Normally he gets that loose ball down back. But yeah, he ended up getting something like, I think it was 50 points or something like that in that last quarter, which ended up saving his score, got him to a 111. The other thing too, I think that hurt Ryan's score a little bit was that the Swans only kicked 9 behinds, and Clark took some of those kick-ins, and normally Ryan takes them, and so that's actually limited his points as well. But the 111, you still take that, especially from where he was in the game. So Nat Fyfe, a 60. I think because we're a little bit depleted down back, you may decide to want to hold him. The only thing with Fyfe though now is he went down 20k this week, and his break even's 150. So I think he's going to drop a truckload of cash this week. So the potential is there to upgrade, obviously. He's made a bit of money and this and that. So I think you could upgrade him depending on what other rookies you have on the field. But yeah, just know that he's going to lose a lot of money this week. And then with Sydney, so Heaney with a 118. I think what I like about Heaney is he's still getting really high CBAs. And that's obviously a good thing for Heaney owners, and hopefully with Parker, again I've been saying this every week, but it looks like Parker likely will come in this week. He's had 3 games now, in the reserves, and he's been playing fairly well. So I reckon they will actually bring him in this week. In my opinion, I don't know what they'll do with him or where they'll play him, but yeah, I guess it'll have some kind of impact on Heaney. But yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. And I think for, again, Grundy, again, it's the usual thing. It's the up and down with Grundy. Are you upgrading to a Gawn or to a English, or even now a Marshall? Marshall's at 525k, break even of 28. It's possible, but again, I'd be looking elsewhere. Grundy will still get his scores. He's in the top 5 rucks in the comp. So, yeah, my advice would be to hold and just look elsewhere. Get your rookies off the ground. That's where I think the focus should be. And then Goulden with a 93. So does he become an option to bring in? You're never trading any of these premiums out, which is why I don't talk about any of that with the premiums. I'm always looking at the premiums you might be able to bring in. So he's got a break even of 133. He could lose more cash. So you might be able to actually get him for around 550k. So he might be a really good pick for next week. And then Matt Roberts was really disappointing. Got a 47. So I was happy that I traded him out to Oliver. He dropped, I guess, even further this week, a 27k. He dropped. Break even's 124. He's going to drop another 20 odd K again this week. His role had changed a little. He's kind of playing a little bit up the wing as well, not that halfback type role. So we'll just see where he gets used this week. But yeah, my advice would be is to just cash him out or upgrade him. So yeah, that was a bit unfortunate for Roberts owners. And then I think with the Hawks, I know some may have brought in Dylan Moore. Again, see his ownership, so 3%. So not a lot of people would have brought him in, but yeah, I wouldn't be looking at him as an option to bring in, even though his form has been decent. I just wouldn't really be looking at him. There's no one really of interest to me with Hawthorn except Lloyd Meek. Those that brought in Lloyd Meek when he was on the bubble, it has now ended up being a fantastic move. He's made 149k, which is again what you want to make from players you're bringing in that are not going to be keepers. Not only that, but he's averaging 104. So just great, a really good get, that one, the Lloyd Meek trade. And his break even's 57, so he's there to earn a lot more cash. So well done. So Marshall 164 and Steele a 122. So well done on them. But as far as bringing them in, I think Marshall, if you want to bring Marshall in, this is the week to do it. Last week really was the week to do it. But at 525k, that is really cheap for a player that's likely going to average 110 to 115 for the year. So if you're wanting to invest in a good ruckman, he's an option. Steele's the other one. Steele is now at 557k. He went down 8k this week, but his break even's 83. So again, this is the week to get Jack Steele. And considering that, so the Saints play Freo at Marvel, and obviously with Steele, we're always looking at his strapped leg or strapped knee. He didn't have the strapping, always a good sign. And he had the 13 tackles and 12 contested possessions, always the good signs for Steele. I think he is an absolute option to bring in this week if you want a primo mid. So I've mentioned Walsh already. We'll get to Green in a moment. But Jack Steele, for sure, absolute option for this week. Highly recommend bringing him in if you're looking at bringing in an underpriced premium this week. Mentioned Wangani Malira. Is he an option to actually bring in? Sorry, got him on my team. Look, yes and no. I think I had Will Powell and I was desperate to get him out of my team that particular week. And because of other trades I was doing, I could only afford Wanganeen Malira. I couldn't go higher than what he was priced at, and I just was desperate to get Powell out, so I brought in Malira, and he's been okay. I've been pretty good actually the last couple of weeks. But if you're bringing him in, obviously he is a D6 player. He's going to be a D6 player for me. If we have a look at his how he stacks up with the other defenders, he's sitting at 12th. So that's not too bad, when you're picking a defender, you're picking out of the top 10, in my opinion, for defenders. You're wanting to get that top 6. Obviously in your team, but you can always have even a 10th defender as your D6, or 10th average defender as your D6. So that is an option. So I'm happy with that. I think his average will continue to go up. Sinclair's playing in the midfield, so yeah, I think that will work. Do you bring him in? I guess if that's all you can afford at that price and you want a defender, then yeah, that's an option. 497k is pretty cheap, but yeah, again, I would be going, you're looking for more the higher end premiums, like your Luke Ryan, your Dacos, your Sheasel, your Nick Martin, those types, and now even your Elliot Yeo. Darcy Wilson a 90, so you keep him. Break even of 3, made 52k this week. He's got another probably 50 to 100k to make. Now, this is the situation that I've got. I've got a couple. I'm actually planning to use my boost this week. At this stage, these are my trades. I plan to use my boost, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to trade out Darcy Wilson to get the players I want to get in my team. I'll go through some more players in some of the other games, and then I'll get to my trades, and I'll mention to you what type of trades I'll be making. So Hugo Garcia got a 65, continues to make cash, thankfully. Wasn't looking good there for a while. Looks like he's got a bit of job security. He's made 97k already, a 1 break even, so tracking okay. Hayes came off the high of a 115 roughly, I think what he got, and got a 20 this week. With Essendon and GWS, so I think Merritt now, because Merritt is obviously an Uber premium, and let's see, so he has dropped 6k this week, dropped nearly 20k because he got a 101 this week, and then I think last week, let's have a quick look. So last week, yeah, sure. So it was because of the 101 that he got this week that he's dropped a bit. His break even is 137. He's got every chance to get that this week. Because Essendon play North, so he could very well get that 137, get 140, 150 even. The potential is there. So I think if we do want to get someone like a Zach Merritt, yeah, he's one of those ones you've got to pay, your 634. So yeah, you could bring him in this week because he should be getting a pretty big score. Let's have a quick look at who he's got coming up. So yeah, look at that. He's got North and then Richmond, and then even Gold Coast. Carlton's a tough one. Then he's got West Coast. North, Richmond, Gold Coast. Then Carlton, which will be a tough game. Then West Coast, and then Geelong, where midfielders score very well against Geelong, and even Collingwood he'll potentially score well against because they don't tag or anything. They don't pay close attention to the mids. So he's got a fantastic run coming up, Zach Merritt. Jai Caldwell a 90. So for those that brought him in, decent score. He's a good option in your forward line for now because we're pretty desperate for options there. So Nick Martin an 83, and that's obviously disappointing for owners. He only dropped 3k. He's a 130 break even. You got a pretty good chance of getting him a little cheaper next week. But I've got some interest in Nick Martin this week, so I'll talk about him a little bit later. Actually, Nick Martin, let me just have a quick look at why he got that 83. So he had 31 possessions, 24 were kicks, and then 10 marks. So there's got to be something here why he didn't score better than that. Okay, so he had 5 clangers. He's lost 20 points in clangers, and his disposal efficiency at 61. There probably will be some other things as well. As you know, with SuperCoach, there's lots of ways you can score and also lose points. But I reckon there might have been a few other things as to why he might have lost a few points. But definitely the clangers and obviously disposal efficiency would have played a part in that. And then I think with GWS, because I think that's probably it for Essendon, but with GWS, Tom Green, now you just absolutely have to keep your eye on Tom Green. He is a top 8 mid. He's had that score of 5 or whatever, which wrecked his average, but his break even is 180. Even if he gets like an 88 this week, he loses like 42k. He's going to lose a lot of money over the next few weeks. He definitely will be dropping under 500k. Imagine getting Tom Green under 500k. Like, that is dirt cheap. So if you don't have Tom Green, I know a lot of us are, upgrading every week, trying to upgrade, trying to fill out our midfield. I started with Tom Green, so it doesn't really affect me. But if you don't have Tom Green and you've got a spot in your midfield that you can bring a premium in, he becomes the best option, an underpriced premium like Tom Green. Wait till he bottoms out, whenever that is, in the next couple of weeks, and just plan to bring him in. Now, he does have the buy in round 12, so quite possibly we wait till round 10 goes by, in round 11. So we wait for 2 weeks. I think in 2 weeks he would have bottomed out likely, and then you can bring him in round 13, even round 14. Because round 13 you might only have a couple of players out of your team, but you could bring him in 13 or 14. I think that's a really, really good plan if you don't have Tom Green. So Whitfield, a 100. I think he is also an option for our defense to bring in. A 139 break even. He's down to 514, averaging 101. And he's going to lose more money. So we will be able to get him under 500k. So that's what I'll be looking at for me personally, because I'm going to be upgrading McKercher to a player, and then it looks like at this stage to Nick Martin. And then I'll have one more rookie in my defense to upgrade, and that could be to a Lockie Whitfield, or or even maybe we'll see how we go over the next few weeks. Dan Houston might shoot up and get a few really good scores. So I don't know, we'll see. But I will be waiting till Whitfield bottoms out and then see if he's a good option to bring in. Josh Kelly, unfortunately, out for 6 weeks or so. So he's a definite trade out. So Darcy Jones was a bit of a disappointment. Cadman, Thomas, if you've got those players, get rid of them. Darcy Jones, still a negative 8 break evens, made 51k. So look, he still has the potential to get those 70-point games, and I think that the GWS or the Giants really, really like him. So I think his job security is pretty good. He still played 74% game time, even though he didn't have much of the ball. It is a pretty hard position that he has, that forward pocket position, and it looks like that they're preferring him over Harvey Thomas, in that position as well. We just have to hope that Jones makes more cash. With Richmond and Western Bulldogs, there wasn't really a lot for Richmond. I think, let's see if anyone still owns Tom Brown. 12%. So so there's a decent amount there, and he's actually now doing his job, because he's made 134k, and he got a 76 this round. So that's really boosted his cash generation. So that's 24k he went up this week, break even of 16. So that's really good. So you'll be holding him for a few more weeks, should get past that 150k, and then he's done his job as a cash cow. I think for, like I said, Seth Campbell, time to get rid of him because he's injured if you have him as a rook. The Western Bulldogs went absolutely crazy against Richmond here. Their mids went nuts. So Ed Richards, who took over from Libba, a 163, Treloar, a 153, Bont, a 135, even Harms got a 139. And that's the thing. I think if you've got any players that are playing against Richmond, you've really got to consider them a VC or a C for sure. So as I mentioned, Bont, the 135. To be perfectly honest, I was hoping for a better score because I guess he had 32 possessions, but 19 were handballs. But 3 marks, 7 tackles, 2 goals, 19 contested possessions, 10 clearances. You'd expect a bigger score than that. I guess 65% disposal efficiency, and we know the Bont rule in SuperCoach. He always seems to get more points than the average player. Those extra little bonus Bont points, but only a 135. Was really expecting at least a 150 with the numbers that he was showing in this game. So Sam Darcy. So now again the extra cash generation. Look, I'm always if you want to play aggressively. I'm always for trading rooks that little bit early. If you've got, say, a couple of underpriced premiums that are ready to bring in at the same time, and you need to downgrade a rook that maybe hasn't made all the cash that they could have, then I'm all for trading that rookie out to get those premiums in, because those premiums coming in means likely 2 rooks coming out. That's kind of what I'll be doing this week. Not necessarily with Sam Darcy. So Darcy I'm still going to hold, but I'll explain all my trades later. But just so wrapped with that score because now he's made 223k, went up 32k this week, 36 break even, and hopefully continues to score well and make more cash. So very happy with that. Now, I don't know how many of you jumped on the Bailey Dale train, but that seems to be chugging along quite nicely. That's the last few weeks now, he has scored 175, 132, 116, 103. So if you jumped on at the right time, you've really benefited. Just having a look through, what was he worth? So he got down to 422k. In round 6, and now he's worth 554k like 3 weeks later. So he's made 130 odd k in those few weeks. So not only is he scoring, but he's making money, and now he's become if you've got him, I wouldn't be bringing him in personally. I wouldn't at that price. But if you brought him in earlier at a cheaper price, yeah, you're definitely holding. He becomes like a D5, D6 type player. Round 3 average of 117. He's averaging 96. I think he'll probably average, like, from here on, I reckon he'll definitely be averaging, if he's got the same role, about 105, 110 maybe, with the same role from here. So yeah, I guess when you think about it that way, he's probably an option to bring in, I guess. There's a few other options I would prefer. So Tim English and 87. Now this really helps, I guess, those who are really wanting to upgrade to a Tim English this week. He only went up 3k, break even of 129. The doggies do have GWS this week, so you'd expect him to do quite well this week, I think. But yeah, again, he's a premium ruck. No point talking too much about English. I think if you've got him, that's great. If you don't have him, look, I think most teams have got 2 of the top 5 rucks in the competition. So if we have a look at our rucks, let's see. So yeah, Gawn, English, Grundy, Sherry, Marshall. So that'll be it. And Meek, he's not really a keeper. And so you'd be looking at cashing him out at some point, but you've got your 5 top rucks here, and I think you're not really going from one to another. I personally would see that as a sideways trade with these rucks. I think if you've got any 2 of these top 5, then they are your keepers for the year, in my opinion. I think you're much better off focusing on other parts of your team. Jack McRae ends up being that typical 80, roughly average 80 to 90. I know some have brought him in, but I just don't think he's going to be anything more than that. Even when Libba went down, there was a perfect opportunity for McRae to come into the midfield. But it looks like they're bringing Ed Richards in there. Just having a quick look, that last game for McRae, I just want to have a quick look at his heat map, just to kind of see whereabouts he's actually sort of playing. So it looks like he's playing a half forward role. So it's kind of like a high half forward role by the looks of it. It's not really a bad role, but I guess you're really wanting him to play. That was just in the last game, but you're wanting him to play in that midfield. But I just can't see it happening this year. I don't know if anyone brought in Riley Garcia. If you did, let's see, 19%. So there was a few, and he's now starting to work out. Initially, I was a bit concerned about his cash generation, but he's made 113k, negative 14 break even. It's great. He should have jobs, keep his job. He's got good job security, I think, now. So that's going to work out, I think, all right. And they had a few other rookies in there. Joel, I don't know how to say his name. I should have checked that before coming in, but Freja, something like that. I don't know. 63 from him, and we'll see next week if he stays in the team. Harvey Gallagher, time to, I think, get rid of him. Let's just see how many own him. Okay, only 2%. So, that's probably it for the doggies. Let's quickly run through these last few games. Really happy with Took. He's averaging, 115. He's worked out to be a really good pick for me. Bodie Hewland, that was unexpected. Again, it is against North, but a 109, and then Closey got a 105. So, that's just unusual, but it's a game against North Melbourne, so that probably makes sense. Interesting. Davies, got a 98. I don't know. You see Hardwick's kind of mixing and matching his team a little bit, bringing in plays, trying them out, getting a feel for it, then trading them out, and taking them out and managing them and that. So Matt Rowell, let's have a quick look at Matt Rowell. He's down to 598. So this is a guy that was averaging 130 or 133 or something like that not long ago. And his last two games, albeit that there was a tag in there, I think, last week, but a 65 and an 83 last two games. So obviously for his owners, that is hard to swallow. But for non-owners, and if you've got a spot in your team and you want to bring in a Matt Rowell who's averaging, he's probably going to average 120 at least for the rest of the year. You wait till he bottoms out. He's got a 192 break even, so let's just wait till that really bottoms out, and you might be able to get him for like under 550. There's every chance of that. I say he becomes someone to just keep our eyes on and wait till he bottoms out. That's actually a massive bonus. Now, I guess for me, I don't have any spots in my team. Technically, I could trade out LDU, but I don't really want to. I want to upgrade my defense first, so that I've got all premiums in defense, and I want to have at least the main premiums in the forward line. If we have a look at the forward line, I think as far as players you want in your team, definitely you're looking at the top four. Not top four, top three. So we're talking about a Heaney, Flanders, Zorko. I think they have to be your top forwards that I think now you got to have in your team. Like with Zorko, I think he's only owned by 8%, but I think we just have to accept that he is a premium forward because he is playing at half back. He's averaging 109. Last three is 111. Last five 115. And I know we're worried about his body. He's like 35 or however old he is, but he's a premium. And you just have to bring him in. If you've got rookies on your team, you just have to get him out. Isaac Rankin obviously is the other exception, I think, with that, just purely because of his recent form. So Rankin's had a 116 average in the last three games and a 110 in the last five. So, if it's not Zorko and you don't want to bring him in and you're not confident, and Rankin's only 527k, then maybe Rankin is the one to bring in because his form has been fantastic. Went up another 29k this week. It's gone up 66k overall, but still 527 is pretty cheap for a guy that is averaging that 116 in the last 3 rounds and 110 in the last 5. So just having a quick look at his past few averages. So he hasn't really started all that well. He was okay, but then his last few games, 121, 85, 113, 93, 142. So it looks like that it's going to be a bit up and down because it just depends on how he is used. So if we have a look at the Adelaide game, as far as the CBAs go, so now Rankin only had 33% CBA, so it actually shows that he doesn't necessarily need a high percentage CBAs. He's just a really good player. Even in that game, it was Crouch, then Saligo, then Laird, then Dawson at 53% for CBAs. So yeah, you just have to say he's an option. There's not really a lot of options in our forward line, but yeah, I guess Zorko and Rankin are probably options. I guess we said that about Moore last week because his 3-round average has been pretty good, but just had a bad game last week. So I guess, yeah, you could have Heaney, Flanders, Jackson, I guess, just for the buys. Zorko, Moore, Rankin, that could be your 6 forwards. But we'll have to wait and see if there's any forwards, any DPP forwards announced at round 12. So I might be waiting for that. Hopefully a Petrarca gets announced with that. So yeah, continuing on with the Gold Coast and North game, we had Sexton come in. For those that held on to Sexton, that's a real bonus. That's really helped them out. Scored an 82 and got the regeneration of cash. I mentioned Closey before as well, so really wrapped with that because he scored a 105, 30 break even, so now we're holding a little bit longer with him. I was looking like we would have to really trade him out, but now we get to hold him a bit longer. I think Jake Rogers will come back in. He's doing okay, break even of 37, hopefully he hasn't made much cash, 66k, yeah, anyway, I don't know. Jake Rogers is one of those ones where all week I was thinking to myself, nah, he's not going to be a great cash guy. I'm not going to bring him in. But then I think from memory, I think I had some other 2 players I wanted to bring in for that week. Let's have a look. What was it? Where's the Rogers trade? So it was in round 8, that's right, because I wanted to bring in Sweet and I wanted to bring in Bont, and I think to get that cash I needed to do Powell to Rogers because I went from Dempsey to Bont. So yeah, I needed that extra trade. Yeah, anyway, sorry, just wanted to quickly go over that and see why I did that trade. And then for moving over to North, so Zach Fisher, I guess with Sheasel in the midfield, Zach Fisher and McKercher have been benefiting. He got a 140. Anyone that held him be pretty wrapped with that. LDU 109, usual stuff. I wouldn't be bringing LDU in though. I can tell you that right now. Definitely don't bring him in. When you've got like underpriced premiums like a Tom Green being under 400k soon, you're holding for ones like that. Charlie Comben, after a few pretty horrible games, got a 98. At least he's done right by his owners there. I mentioned Colby McKercher, and I guess I have to trade him. I guess if you can hold, if you've got bench cover, then yeah, I would be holding because we don't know how long he's out for. They said possibly a week. He's confident he'll come back the following week. But yeah, time will tell. I think Sheasel will take over McKercher's role and play at halfback this week, and hopefully for owners he does. I guess if you're a non-owner, a break even of 168, wait till he bottoms out and then bring him in because I think he'll, even playing in the midfield, he'll still be a top 6 forward, a top 6 defender. Because he's not going to play in the midfield all year. I think he'll play at halfback as well, as much as he's playing in the midfield. And I think he'll get decent scores. I mean, yeah, last week I guess it was more midfield, half forward, but he'll get a feel for it there in that role, and he's too good of a player to be only averaging 70 and 80 from here. So yeah, I'd be sticking with Sheasel, but there is a trade strategy of trading Sheasel out down to a cheaper player and then upgrading another player. Sure, I wouldn't recommend that, but that is an option, I guess. Sherry, not a great score, 82, but yeah, he'll bounce back. Powell will just continue to get his 70s, and that's why I traded him out. I was deciding between Jackson and Powell, and I figured, Jackson I can use through the buys, and Powell will, I think, continue to average 70s. Yes, that's probably it. I think we'll go through some of the players on the bubble a little bit later, of ones we could potentially bring in. And then for Collingwood and West Coast, Dacos is pretty much the only one for Collingwood to talk about as far as premiums go. 147. I think if you don't own Dacos, yeah, you've lost that opportunity. He has bolted up now in price at 657. He got down as low as what did he get down to? He got down to 566 at after round 4. So that was the time to bring him in, and hopefully it did. Like, his last scores have been 133, 128, 150, 147. That's the Dacos we know. So I think, if you're looking at getting him in, you've definitely missed that boat. But 76% of teams, so most have got him. Probably most of you, if not all of you who are listening right now, have probably owned him. We got some decisions to make. So I mentioned before about some cash cows at Collingwood. Joe Richards got a 107. Yes, it was against West Coast. But I actually think that he's got some really good job security, and he looked great. And he got that 107 even with 4 clangers and 55% disposal efficiency. And he still got that 107 because he had 3 marks, 6 tackles, 1 goal as well. So that all contributed to his score. So he becomes a viable option. I think you don't even have to wait till he's on the bubble. I think he could be an option this week. I'm not overly confident with Lachie Sullivan. He had another great game, a 75. He's on the bubble. And yes, I know some will be bringing him in because he's only 102k. And he's got a break even of negative 92, which is very juicy. But his job security, I don't know. If De Goey and Mitchell come back in and Sullivan's still in the best 22 and he's not a sub, then yeah, for sure, you could bring him in. But a lot of players did well here. Finn McRae, I don't know what he's down to. I'm not really confident on his job security. He's a 168k now, negative 27. I wouldn't be recommending him. But yeah, Sullivan and Richards, they're the ones that I guess we're all thinking about right now. But it all depends on your cash and your upgrades. Because it may be that you just take the gamble and the risk on a Sullivan, knowing that he might play another few weeks and make a little bit of cash with a negative 92 break even. But say you're using a boost this week, you're upgrading 2 premiums and you're downgrading to a rookie. And it may just be that you need a 102k to make those other trades happen. And he's a 102k player, Sullivan. So yeah, it may have to be a sacrifice. I mean, I'm thinking about it, to be honest, with Sullivan. I am unsure about his job security. I might, wait to see the teams and see when they're announced before I make some of these trades. But yeah, I'm going to have to give that a bit of thought. West Coast, nothing really there for West Coast that I can see. No one really relevant except for Harley Reid. And I think with Reid, now's the time to trade him out. Break even of 134, went up 8k this week. And I think, we were in a situation earlier in the year where we were like, well, let's trade out Harley Reid. And he came out with those massive scores and then regenerated cash. But I think we're at a point now where it's time to upgrade him. 443k, it's only like 100k more to get to like a Zorko or someone like that, or not even that. Like you could get to a Rankin from Harley Reid. So yeah, that is an option. You could, if you've got other things to worry about, then sure. But I think Harley Reid is at a good place now to upgrade from. And then just the last game with Adelaide and Brisbane. So Jordan Dawson continues to be a really, really great pick for when I got him in. So I got him in at his cheapest price at that 517k. Oh wait, no, I didn't. I got him at 533. I think he got that 168. I think that's when I got him in round 6. So I got him at 533, and now he's up to 603k. What did I just do? His 3-round average. Where are we? 3-round average is now 121. 5-round average is 119. So I know there were some that were a bit worried about Jordan Dawson. I don't like the way he plays, and he's not playing like he did last year, and he gets his points in transition, and all these kinds of excuses. And I guess that was a fair assessment, but at the end of the day, it's like this guy's a premium. Like he was priced at the start of the year at that price for a reason. He averaged that for a reason because he's a good player. So when a premium gets that low, and there's reasons why, like in Dawson's case, he was getting the ball, but just his clangers and his disposal efficiency was just really bad. But you would expect a good player like him to fix that, and he has. And again, he got a 142 this week. 27 possessions, 19 were kicks, 4 marks, 7 tackles, 11 contested, 5 clearances, but here it is, 2 clangers and 85% disposal efficiency. So that's what we want to see from him, and that's what he's been producing. So that's worked out well. Rankin, I mentioned, the 142. He's definitely an option for your forward line as a cheaper forward premium, semi-premium. And then one who's kept under the radar a little bit is Rory Laird. So he's, what's he averaging? He's averaging 109. And and I guess that's probably why, because he started well, but he's just getting these up and down scores. He's just not getting the same role and playing the way that he used to play. I probably wouldn't be bringing him in personally. I think there's other better underpriced mids, and with Adelaide rotating so many mids through there, it's obviously having an impact on Laird. And one of those players that's benefiting is Matt Crouch, 112. He's now starting to become a keeper, Matt Crouch. So there's probably still a few that own him. So we're looking at 7%. So I think for those 7% that own him, you'd be holding, but you wouldn't be trading him in, but you'd be holding. Jake Saligo, decent score, 91. I know some might have brought him in because he's getting a fair bit of midfield clock. Daniel Curtin was a real disappointment, but like I said earlier, we'll see how he goes over the next few weeks, because with Worrell injured, he may play a bit more. So Dane Zorko, again, as I mentioned, we have to treat him as a premium. I know he's got potential for injury and his age and everything, but he's a forward premium, and I think he's only owned by 8% or so, but I think have to have him in our teams if we want to upgrade our forward line. As I mentioned, Dunkley, Neale, low scores in this game from them, but not this coming week because they got Richmond at home. So you'd expect Dunkley and Neale to get monstrous scores. I think if you're looking at bringing them in, Neale break even now is 86, and this would be a great week to bring him in. He's 586k. He's averaging 106. His scores have been decent. One massive score, couple of little low scores recently, but they're pretty decent scores from Neale. I think same with Dunkley as well. So he's 628k though. A bit expensive, but again, just will have a monstrous week this week. So do we bring in Bruce Revel as a rookie? I think he's probably got the job security, maybe. It looks like he does. He's a 102k forward or mid forward. So I think he's going to be a bit of a slow burn, negative 56 break even, but I think he's got the job security, especially with those injuries that Brisbane have had. So I think, I'd be surprised if he gets dropped. I think the Lions like him as well, playing a good role. And, the other thing I think with his score, he got a 55, but he got that in 53% game time. That's pretty good. Hopefully he gets a full game this week. So yeah, he's definitely an option to bring in this week. There's Sullivan, there's Revel. They're both 102k players. Even you could go early on Richards. It's not strong options like some of our other rookies have been in the past, but if you need a downgrade rookie to upgrade someone else, then they're the three we're choosing from this week. And that's it for all of our players to consider for this week. So now let's get into any bubble players and any players with really high break evens, maybe ones that I might have missed. So looking at the break evens, starting with the highest break evens, well, the lowest, whichever you want to look at it. So we won't need to mention about Jordan Sweet. Hopefully he comes back this week. But yeah, Lockie Sullivan and Joe Richards, again, the two Collingwood players, and then Bruce Revel. They are the three options for us this week to pick. I think Lika Lear is on the bubble too, but he was injured, out for a couple of weeks. I don't think he played anyway. Interesting. James Arms negative 32 break even. So Peatling comes back in. So now this is going to be interesting. So Peatling, I think, was playing through the midfield in his last just a few games. And he scored that 116 in his last game, and that was in round 8, but then he was dropped. But with Kelly injured, let's just see if Peatling comes in at 297. Could he be an option to bring in if you want to sort of spend up for that? And I think, so yeah, Deer is the other one. He's played 2 games. Kalsha Deer, negative 20 break even. But yeah, I'd be looking at those Collingwood players. And that's probably about it. A lot of these other guys have played more than sort of 2 games. But I wouldn't be really thinking of anyone else. As far as the high break evens, I've already spoken a few. So, these players like Matt Rowell and Tom Green, you're really waiting to bottom out. I would be marking them down. Like, again, if you've got spots in your midfield, you'd be sort of making a note of them bottoming out to get them. Even for me, like Matt Rowell, he might be one of those ones where I may end up going early with LDU and trading LDU to a Matt Rowell, quite potentially, to be able to get Rowell cheap. We'll see how cheap they can get. So Gawn may drop a little. I think this week he could very well get his break even against West Coast. And again, Harry Sheasel's the other one. Wait till he bottoms out. We're going to need him in our backline anyway. He's a top 6 defender. And then, I wouldn't consider Noah Anderson personally. Connor Rozee, I own him already, but he could be one that could drop under 400, under 500k. So as I mentioned, like Tom Green, could drop under 5 or will drop under 500k. So it's really good to plan ahead like this. If you've got these spots available in your midfield for these players, definitely plan ahead and then bring them in on the cheap, because they will be high averaging players by the end of the year. So this is what I plan on doing for my team this week. So I'm expecting Rosie to play this week. So I'll bring Rosie on my field. And then I think Wilson, I'm going to... I'll have it. I'm not sure what I'll do. The 2 players I want to bring in, McKercher. So I trade out McKercher, and I want Nick Martin. I actually kind of want Elliot Yeo if he plays this week, but I'll go for Nick Martin. And then the other trade I want to make is I want to trade out Reed. I think he's maxed out. And because my midfield is full and my defense is nearly full, I'll probably trade Closey. He's the last one I'll trade to upgrade to a premium defender. So I really want to fix my forward line a bit. So I'm going to trade Reed, and I think there's no other player I can see trading myself to than Zorko. Rankin maybe, yes, but I think Zorko is going to end up being that top 3 forward by the end of the year. Unless, of course, he gets injured, which I guess we're expecting. But for now, I'm just going to take the risk and get Zorko. Now, I've got negative 253k. So, what do I do? What do I do with that? Like, how do I make this trade? So, the players that have enough money for me to trade is Wilson. And that's it. There's no one else. I've got no one. I can't even trade Darcy at 347. So all I can really do is trade Wilson. The question is who do I trade Wilson to? So I'm going early. Yes, I'm definitely going way early on Wilson. He's only got a 3 break even. But to get McKercher to Martin and Reed to Zorko, they are 2 premiums. They are 2 uber premiums because they're going to finish in the top 6 of their position. So for me, it's definitely worth it, and it's a gamble I'm happy to make, and it's a really aggressive trade. I know that, but I kind of want to make that aggressive trade. Use my last boost to make this happen. So I have to I've got to trade Wilson. I don't have much choice. So I don't have any choice really. There's no one else I can trade. Yeah, LDU is an option, but I'm not going to go there because LDU still has the potential of getting tons. And who am I going to get for? I don't like that at all. So I'll be trading out Wilson, and then I guess the question is who do I get? It's an option of Lockie Sullivan and Revel, or I just swap Garcia into the midfield and bring in Richards. So I haven't made a decision yet. It will be one of those 3 players, but that's probably the trade I'm going to make. So let's just say for now it's Lockie Sullivan, and it gives me 30k spare in the bank. And so this is how my team looks, and put Clark as the emergency, Ryan VC, Gorn captain, bring in Zorko, and then Garcia emergency. Yeah, so this is how it's looking. Obviously it's not taking into account, like, I don't really look at the projected scores all that much, but obviously my projected score is not taking into account Rosie because he's injured, or saying he's injured. But yeah, he's got a projected score of 82. He'll get more than that this week if he plays. But yeah, so I'm really happy with that. Having Ryan, so I'm in by the end of round 10. Or by the end of round 9, or going into round 10, I've got Ryan, Dacos, Martin, Sheasel, Wanganeen, Malira. So I've got all players averaging over 100, except Wanganeen Malira is just a touch under, but they're all players that are top 6 defenders. Malira a top 10. My midfield, I've got Sarong, Bont, Dawson, and Miller, and Green. I think those players are definitely all 115, 120 averaging players. And then LDU, maybe a 105 if I'm lucky. Rosie, a 105 to 110 potentially. Oliver could be an anything type player. He gets his form back, he could be a 120 plus average player, and that's what I'm hoping really. So my midfield is now done to some degree. At least it's got premiums in it. Gorn Marshall, Rucks are done. Premiums are done. And then to have Heaney, Flanders, and Zorko, the 3 best forwards in the comp, averaging forwards. Jackson is, it's showing he's averaging 99, but he won't be getting 99s. But at least I've got him through the buys, and he's going to come in handy when Gorn and Marshall have their buys. And then for my rookies, unfortunately, that's pretty rough for me to have then Darcy and Jones. But I think that's why I might actually trade in, instead of Sullivan, I'll probably trade in Richards. I think Richards has the better scoring potential, and I'll probably have Richards on my field and Jones on the bench. And maybe I can do a bit of loophole action, because Garcia would be in my midfield and then Richards would be in this position. And then I can do some loopholing between Richards and Jones using Livingston. So I think that's the way I'm gonna play this. As I mentioned, I've got Ryan and Gawn. I mentioned some of the other captaincy options as well. And very quickly, I just want to mention, I know I've gone for nearly 1.5 hours, but just quickly, the buys are coming up. So we need to start having a look at our buys and seeing how we're going. So just having a quick look at my buys. So this is now, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, possibly 12, maybe 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 8. I'll just have 18 players in round 12. So I'm going to have to do something about that. Round 13, I think there'll be no problems there for many of us. And I've got a player missing on each line. That's kind of how you want it, I guess. But there's not many missing for that round. 14, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 17, probably 18, because I'll probably have Richards instead of Sullivan. But so again, just on 18. And then in round 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So about 16 or 17 players. But see, this is the thing. Like, obviously, you're making trades through the buys. And I'll, probably have roughly 15 to 17 trades left as I enter the buys. And I'll be happy with that. And I'll make a few buys. I guess we're trying to have somewhere between 19 to 20 players each round. We want to have 21, 22. But if we can have around that many playing, that's going to really help our team. And then by the time, we get to that round 15, we really should be doing well, and we should come out of the buys having a better team and a better rank. That is the plan, and that's the aim. But now is the time to start looking at your buys and planning. So thanks a lot, guys, for your paying attention. I guess after the 1.5 hours nearly. Hopefully, if you've stuck it through, or stuck it out. Sorry, not stuck it through. If you've seen it through, stuck it out. Hopefully, going through my team and some of the players so they helped you with your team. Hopefully you're doing well. You're high up in rank. If not, you can always make ground. There's so many stories of teams that are ranked, 10,000, 15,000. They have a massive score, and they just go up like 9,000 spots. So it can happen. But yeah, you just got to be smart with our trades. Look at those underpriced premiums. Look at the players that really will make money, those rookies coming through. And just make smart trades, I guess, because this is a trading game. And then of course pick good vice captains. So guys, all the best for this weekend. Hopefully you have a great SuperCoach weekend, a really high score, you move up in rank. Hopefully that all works for you, and then I'll see you at the completion or speak to you at the completion of round 10. See ya.